All right, Shalom.
Shalom. First and foremost, we're going to give all glory and honor to
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bashem,
Bashem, Yahushai,
Yahushai, Bashem,
Bashem, Rakakadash.
Rakakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders and teachers at Great Millstone who rule well and are teaching with sincerity and charity. This is Brother Barak.
This is brother Yawasab.
It's your brother Salah.
And this lesson, we're going to be going over some precepts about the wickedness of a woman. You
Yeah,
know,
If I could start off with this first one, Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 25:19. All wickedness is belittled in the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. So that's basically going into, uh, the sinner, he's gonna fall upon a wicked woman. A righteous man is given a righteous woman, but a wicked man is given a wicked woman. Because he reaps what he sows, and um, yeah, that he's gonna be given onto this wickedness, and it's gonna bring him down into his folly.
yeah, man. A lot of these men out here, a lot of these modern men. I'm not necessarily speaking of the older men, but like a lot of these I'll say younger men right now, man. Like they let their women go out there, get abroad, and even some of these older men, but but their levels to it, as you brothers may know, but like. They just let their woman get abroad. They let them go on fucking vacation trips with their female friends, and damn well they be going out there committing adultery. Like shit, I'll give you an example, man. So like my sister, right. They have their mans or whatever, but she's planning to go on a trip with her sister's friends, and damn well they be going out to another country committing adultery, man. It goes to show you, man. The wickedness of these women, man. And
and you
that
had a
that's crazy.
story, Slakia, Slakia.
Yeah.
I wanted to go into
I'm done.
there was I heard of a story, and hey, can you fix your mic, please? Yeah, what's up? There was a story of these women going on they would go on how you say it, like cruise ships with their girlfriend or whatever you call it, and then they would go, while they were married or whatever, they would go and commit basically adultery to with these like bar servers in these other countries, basically, and they would catch like all sorts of diseases and shit. Basically like going on the beaches and trying to put out this like ignorant lifestyle. Instead of being keepers at home, like the scriptures speak about.
Instead, ultimately, they're gatherers abroad. They can never stay home. They always have to be out and about, flaunting themselves, showing themselves off, complaining on, oh, my man, I can't wear this. Something's wrong with him. Even myself back then, I knew a lot of women that I would deal with that would complain about their ex boyfriends, the men that they were dealing with, that they broke up because he would control what they would wear and he would control when they would go out. And ultimately that man was trying to do the right thing based off what I was able to discern. And these women, they just can never understand their role. They always have to go out of their role and just be these masculine, non-feminine male woman. And I have a testimony, if I could just explain this, because this happened to me recently. And this is why you men out here that are watching got to be extremely careful. Even if these women are so-called Israelites, they know about this truth. They're going around saying, Kanak, Shalom, all praises to the Most High. They got their fucking dusty-ass head wraps on. Most of them are still full of shit, and they still have that worldly, innate way of a woman inside them. Because we're living in Babylon right now, and whether you want to think of it or not, these women are still on Instagram. They're still seeing this shit from Babylon. And I was talking to a woman that had no way that you could possibly tell that this woman was dealing with any other man. She was showing selfies off, and I thought she was, a pretty attractive looking woman. So I conversated with her and I flirted with her a little bit, not knowing. And she was flattered and she was sending back emojis and obviously showing interest. And one thing led to the next. And, I might have said something that, was straightforward. This is the way that I am. And it might have thrown her off. And she got offended and then proceeded to tell me that, you know, she was married and was pregnant. And I basically rebuked her, saying that, how can you not put that in your bio or even state that to the slightest that you're dealing with a man? You're over here showing selfies and selfie after selfie showing your face, and you have all these men following you. You should be having your account on private, or at the least, putting in your bio that you don't want any men to DM you, and explaining that you're married but you're not, and you're going around seeking attention, and shame on you. And I sent curses upon that woman. Shalak Rayam Mashapayim on that woman right there for causing men to stumble. And we have to be very careful in these last days, because these women, they don't care. They don't care whether you fuck up. They don't care. They just want what they want in that moment. They want to fulfill their needs, and that's it. And you got to be very careful, men.
And I got a precept. It's the book of Ecclesiasticus 19:2. It says, "Wine and woman will make men of understanding to fall away, and he that cleaveth to harlots will become impudent." And a lot of these dudes, man, they might be, you know, that goes into one of them. Believe I spoke about this before, but it was, a basically an anecdote, basically to we knew a person that was, getting all prideful. He was living with his woman. He had a PS5, playing games in his woman's house all day. He had a nice job, and he was out drinking, and this dude got all prideful, and he was kind of like bragging about how many friends he had, all this. And basically what happened was, like, all within like a span of a few weeks, like, his dog died, he lost his job, his dad got in the hospital. But the kind of like the topping point was his girlfriend broke up with him, and this dude just crashed out and stopped speaking to everybody. He got all depressed, and just apparently he was, committing caused him to commit even more adultery. Um, but that goes into that scripture. You know, a lot of these dudes, will get played by their woman, and I believe there's another scripture. I'm gonna pull that out. One second.
All right.
Run out of there.
Faces of the
Yeah. So
movie.
this is the book of Here, let me pull this out. This is the book of First Esdras 4:26. And it says, "Yeah, many there be that have run out of their wits for women, and become servants for their sakes."
Hey man, like the woman out there, she's created to serve the man, not the other way around. We're the prize, man. And that's why during Jacob's trouble, man, is gonna be Isaiah 4:1. 7 women shall cleave with the one man. Why? Because it's gonna get so bad out here that these women are gonna need the covering cast of a man of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. A man of the Lord, an elect man, because these women are gonna get saved through childbearing, man, or just simply being underneath that man, if the Lord ordains them to be saved, right? And I have and I have another piece up right here, adding on to the testimony of what Brother Barak said about that man, and him being prideful over his adulterous woman. Is Proverbs chapter 30 verse 20. It says here, "Such is the way of an adulterous woman: she eateth and wipeth her mouth, and saith, I have done no wickedness." And that's a lot of these women out here, man. These damn women out here, they think they can go out and about and not receive any consequences. But we come into a time where a lot of these wicked ass women, and a lot of these men for that matter, these weak men, they're receiving judgments from on high. Why? Because the earth's been polluted, man.
And not only that, these women have been polluted, because there's, and I saw a video somewhere how, how women keep seeds from every man, the DNA from every man, but also it changes their brain structure. So now when you have all these different semen from different men, they start bugging out, you know, because the woman was only ordained to be with one man. for their entire life. But you got all these women that are just going crazy,
And
you know,
what does it
and
talk about?
different spirits
With
on them.
man, roughly paraphrasing, pride cometh before the fall. So this, one individual, he got comfortable. He thought that nothing was going to happen to him. It talks about in the book of Sirach that nothing will stop me. I'm rich and I have money, and roughly paraphrasing, what can happen to me? And then little do you know, the Lord is just waiting for that moment to just kind of put you on your ass and humble you. That's why you always got to be, you got to be aware that the Lord can humble you at any moment, and you got to give Him the praises, and you have to always, seek Him, and you can't lose sight of that, because this individual, he crashed out, and I'm sure he's still thinking about it now, 2 years till this date. The woman didn't even mention, even reach out to him when his father was sick in the hospital, about to die, and his father's doing okay now, from my understanding, but at the time he wasn't, and she didn't even have the courtesy to reach out after he brought her on trips, he bought her expensive stuff. I mean, this guy did everything he could, and he was just too nice, and she just took advantage of that because she knew he was always there at her fingertip. And a month later, she's over there dealing with another man at the bar, and he finds out about that, and he crashes out even more. And what does it talk about? The woman, if somebody wants to bring out that precept, changes her face like the moon. And I have another one to go with that right after.
Yeah, I have it right here, brother. It's the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, chapter 25, verse 17. The wickedness of a woman changeth her face, and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth. And continuing down to verse 18 says there, her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he heareth it, it shall sigh bitterly. And then of course verse 19 says, all wicked is but little to a woman, let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. Right, and that's it right there, man. And that goes along with what both you and Brother Brock said, man. Is because she's taking
And
all this DNA from these men, like that causes her face or her mood to change, man.
I believe this the same woman. I'm not sure if it was this woman or a different one, but one of their excuses for committing adultery was I didn't want to get that feeling of missing out on life. Well,
It was. It was.
these bitches, man, you're not gonna miss out on anything because a nuclear missile's gonna fucking hit your head.
Well,
A fucking nuke is gonna fucking destroy your flesh. You guys are gonna be Zechariah 14. I believe it's Zechariah 14:12.
let's bring
Um,
that out.
Yeah, let's bring that out.
yeah. Hold on, let me make sure I got uh let me make sure I got the correct precept. Yeah, so this is Zechariah 14:12. It says, "The Lord will strike all those who fought against Jerusalem." Here, Salakia. This is the plague of which the Lord will strike all the nations that fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they are standing on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. And you go and look up what a nuclear missile does from Terminator 2 nuclear missile. That's exactly what the radiation from a nuke. It will basically destroy, it will destroy, your flesh. Your eye sockets are gonna burn out. The heat is just gonna destroy their face. There ain't gonna be no spirit of missing out. Because your ass is gonna be through.
Yeah, I mean, your fucking pussy is gonna get burnt inside out like a microwave to all
Yeah.
these whack ass females out here. And this one heathen, she was saying that she didn't want to miss out on the college experience. What are most of these people in college doing, man? They just sucking dick all day. That's all you go. All these women that go to college are just going there to just suck some dick. I'm just gonna put
Yep.
it plain and simple. And it says it in the book of First John 2:15 to 17. Do not love the world or any of the things in the world. If anybody loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is of the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. So these people, they love the world too much, they can't let go of it. They love Babylon so much, man. This is why all you wicked ass people out here are gonna perish, because you fucking love this place too much, man. You can't let
Yep.
go of this place.
Yeah.
Somebody bring out that verse where it talks about how a woman, she opens her legs for all the men to come like a fountain.
I got
Oh,
that. Yeah, I
oh,
got
Yeah.
that.
yeah, right, yeah. I'll bring it out right here. But like, on my screen, you brothers can't see it, but like, I'm looking at this anime. I think it's called Barefoot or whatever. But I googled barefoot new gift because that's what the anime is called. But brothers have brought out these gifts before, and it's basically showing like these people getting vaporized, by these nukes, and that's gonna be you fucking people out here, man. And when these nuke drops, what Brother Barack brought out from Zechariah 14:12, man. You fucking people, man. Your eyes, man. Your eye sockets and everything, like you just gonna disintegrate like these people, man. Y'all gonna fucking melt away and just burn in Babylon the Great
Yeah,
when these fucking nukes drop.
a lot of you men out there got to be very careful what you're dealing with, because a lot of these women were created, were spirits created for vengeance and spirits created to ultimately be judged. The elder Jeremiah from the Great Millstone Chicago camp was talking about it. Some of these spirits, man, were created to literally offend you and to throw you off this path of serving the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai.
Yep.
The offenses, they come from anywhere. They've been put here to offend you,
It
and the
can be
Lord.
your own family. It can be people that you even learn things from, and then all of a sudden, they start going against you. They start gossiping about you, talking behind your back. You know,
Yep.
they might be quote unquote in this truth, and then they start speaking against the apostles and elders of the great millstone. You know,
Yeah, and I got a verse out here for all these people out there that are going to that are going to offend the prophets of the Lord. Um, you know, this is ultimately, it says in the book of Matthew 18:6. But whosoever shall offend one of these little ones who believe in me, it is better for him that a millstone were to be hanged around his neck and him to be drowned in the depths of the sea. So what's going to happen to these people offending the prophets of the Lord, doing the work and trying to be stumbling blocks upon them, man? They're going to be judged, man.
yep.
They're going to be judged. It says in Luke 19:27, those my enemies bring them and slay them before me. So these women, yeah, it doesn't, the Lord isn't discriminating against anybody. He doesn't care that it's a woman that seems all nice and she seems all sweet. Nah, man, if she's evil, he's gonna judge her ass, man. If he sees that kid that eventually is gonna have that spirit for vengeance, he's gonna kill that kid. He's gonna take them out of the face of the earth. So don't be tied up too much in your woman and your job and just these day-to-day, cares of the world. Just be focused and take this day by day
And
and stay true,
brother
Yeah.
Nadazakia, I saw one of his videos last night. These were from the GMS Chicago camp where they did an in-house in-house sit down type camp lesson, and he even said, okay, yeah, let the woman take your kids. If the Lord might send them back after, with sincerity, because a lot of these women they trying to make it right to the man, basically, saying like, I'll take the kids, I'll take the house. Like, okay, do it. Let them take your kids. If the Lord ordained it, he'll send them back. You know.
Yeah. So with that being said, about speaking about these women, um, we gotta have our mind frame, set on this, on what's the most important, And I got a precept I'm going to bring out, Joshua 1:8. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, that you may be careful to do according to what is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have success. So ultimate success is not through a job, not through having a woman on your side, on your arm, all snuggled up, man. No, man, that's not it. It's this word and meditating on it and keeping these laws and this word written on your heart, like it says in the book of Psalms,
Hey,
and if you do that, then you're gonna prosper.
yeah, hey, brother, and you know what that reminds you of, like, even in school, man, like they borrowed this one quote from one of the presidents. I believe it was Theodore Roosevelt. Like he said, like a thorough a thorough knowledge in the Bible is better than a college education, man. And to this day, that quote still stands. It's because these people they knew the scriptures are right. Like these upper echelon wicked elites, man, they know these scriptures are true, and they know that ultimately these colleges are a scam because they want to keep doing that fucking hamster wheel. Cranking out work for Esau, man.
And not only that, brother, but tying this back into the woman, that basically breeds a woman to become a harlot, because maybe when they were in high school, they might have been under their parents' roof, they might have been watched, but once they're out of the care of their parents, because a father, his responsibility is to take care of that woman he until that woman gets married and she joins together with another man, and that man's supposed to be with her. But until then, that father, he's responsible for that woman. But when he sends her off to college, he's putting her in the hands of Esau. He's sending her thousands of miles away. He's sending her to a city where there's spirits that are created to just deal with this. The spirits created for whoredom, spirits created just to do drugs and just to just waste their life away. So it basically taints those women so that they're not really fit to become proper wives for a husband. And then that ties in, man. So Esau is very crafty, man. He's very good with the sword. And that's one of his tools. That's one of his weapons. And just deceiving.
And
So,
yeah, and one of the swords can be, disguised as the weapon of, the so-called education, where
yeah.
you might think your kid's gonna, learning about education and shit, learning all this shit, where they're really just getting, how you say, they're just knowledge that's just repeated and spewed, and they have to just kind of copy it, but they're not, all they're learning how to do is just suck dick.
Yeah.
Hey, and I have a precept, man. Pertaining to this crap, this public fool system, man. The so-called education that we learn, and this is the Second Timothy chapter 2 verses 16 through 18. It says here, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness, and their word will eat as doth a canker. Going to that fucking brain rot, of whom the of whom is him Hymenaeus and Philistus, who concerning the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection is past already, and overthrow the faith of some. So yeah, so meaning these people, they don't care about the truth, period. And that's what Esau does, man. Man, Esau tries to bring the truth. Like before, like they used to do prayers, back in school, but now Esau completely, getting rid of the scriptures, period, from school, and he's literally putting in Satan in school. Like they did, like these satanic clubs you see, man. That's what Esau is trying to push out.
I got a verse here, the precept to back you up. It's First Corinthians 3:19, and I'm gonna bring this out from the KJV. For the wisdom of the world is foolishness with the Lord Yahweh. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So this wisdom that Esau is pushing out, these so-called professors that are in the world that try to debunk the Bible and its power, and they try to go based off science and evolution, and these Stephen Hawking motherfuckers out here, man. These people are ultimately fools, man. In the Lord's eyes, He sees these people as just dumb fools that lean on their own understanding, and they're prideful. They're lifted up with pride. And this is why it's so important that this word, it doesn't matter where you are, where you come from, man. If you're a prophet for the Lord, serving Him in full truth and sincerity, and you believe sincerely in this gospel, and you call on the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and keeping these commandments to the best of your ability, then you have more wisdom than that professor out there that has had degrees upon degrees and has millions sitting in the bank. That guy is a fool, man, because he's gonna burn. He's gonna
I
burn if
got
he doesn't have the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai on his side.
I got a precept. Um, James 2:14. It says, "Faith without works is dead." So, what is a profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? So yeah, and so a lot of these dudes, man, what happens is, they get into this thing and they treat it like some sort of just like, they only look at the, historical parts of it, or, the Hebrew lettering, the language, or, they might only look at the history part of it, but then they got no faith, you know? They don't have faith that they could be an Israelite. They don't have faith that, the Lord's gonna beam us up with them chariots. They don't have faith in these miracles that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has ordained for us. You know, so that just goes into a lot of these things. They'll say they're in this truth, but then they'll mock. They'll mock the chariots. Uh, being, angelic beings, so-called UFOs, UAPs that are in the air disguised as a cloud, or whatever they are. They might mock, the Israelite foreigners, you
Yeah.
know, because
Yeah.
these people ultimately they just lack faith.
Hey, and you know what? I have a piece of to add on to what you're saying, brother. This is First Timothy chapter 6 verse 20. It says, "O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust." Meaning what? Keeping trust to these prophecies, these word, man. Because the spirit of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy, man. And it says here, avoid profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so called. And the word science goes back it goes back to the word to know, man. And the whole book, man, these scriptures, man, this is science right here, because we're understanding the knowledge and wisdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man, the creator of everything, man. That's true knowledge right there. That's true wisdom.
Yeah.
We're
Salaki, brother, continue.
all, that's no, no, that's good. That I was about to say, man. I was saying that that's true knowledge, right there. Like that's that's
You know,
yeah, that's all I had to say.
and if you could have Hebrews 11, 1 ready for me after this precept. This is a precept to go on with what Brother Brock had to say. This is the book of John 4:48. I'm reading from the NIV. Unless you people see the signs and wonders, Yahweh Shai told them, you will never believe. So a lot of these people, they don't want to believe. They don't want to believe in the miracles. They want to believe with only what their eyes can see. They're carnal minded people. They're not spiritual people. And that even goes for some of the people out there that claim they're in the truth, but they want to debunk the chariots, and they want to debunk the Israelite foreigners. And doesn't it say that the Lord, he doesn't look at one's outer countenance? We don't know what the Lord ordains people to be, and he does
And
things for a very specific reason and purpose. And you can be a stumbling block onto many, when you start debunking these things and saying that you know it all, when in reality you don't. You're a novice.
yeah, and brother, not Bishop Nadazaki from GMS Chicago, he was speaking about how we should be like, we got to watch out, because a lot of these people that are walking across the camp, a lot of them could be Jakes, that they don't look like it, but they could be Jakes. We have to fish. That's why we have to be fishers of men. We have to fish for the elect. And also I heard Elder Apostle Tahar, he was speaking about how, you got these guys that are saying, how, now, yes, we do believe that many Israelites are in Africa, right? But like, are we speaking to most of the elect is, were scattered to, where Babylon, so-called United States, right?
Yeah.
And these other countries, most of the elect, where do you see these camps, the Israelite camps preaching on the highways and byways in Africa, some random place in Africa? You might have a, one or two, but you don't really see that. You don't really see these men, um, out on the highways and byways over there. It's basically in all in the United States. And I got a precept for that. This is the book of Barak 2:30. Um, and it says, "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff necked people. But in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves." And so, we're right now, we're in the land of our captivity, you know and the Lord put the Spirit on us to ordain that. You don't see, where we're at, in Florida, like, you don't see a lot of these, how do you say it, like, just regular ass, so-called white people or whatever, calling the name Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You don't see everybody. The Lord fished us out and put the Spirit on us to wake us up that we are Israelites. You don't see that every day. If the Lord wanted us to be blinded from this truth, He would have put that spirit of blindness on us.
Yeah. And I have a beautiful precept to tie into what you just said. And this goes for these people out here, man, that want to speak on the Israelite foreigners and act like they know it all, man. You don't know what the Lord has planned, man. He does this thing with a very specific reason and purpose. And it says in the book of Isaiah 62:6, I have sent watchmen upon thy walls of Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day or night. So he sends a watchman to be on watch constantly, man, and to explain the prophecies and to spread the prophecies. And they're putting their hand on the plow. They're blowing the trumpet. They're warning people of what's to come. They're warning people of the RFID microchip and the mark. Okay, they're warning people about Jacob's trouble and to repent and get their mind right. And you people out here want to go around and say you got to be blacker than black to be a so-called Israelite. That's ignorant right there, man. That's ignorant, man. The Lord's gonna have judgment on your ass if you don't stop that shit right now. Because I dealt with an individual today that was on that type of vibe, man, and I had to put him in check. At the end of the day, we know what we are, man. We know what we are. There's no coincidence. And to all you people out there that are dealing with the same thing, man, there's no coincidence. The Lord called you into this truth, gave you the names, the power of the names, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. Okay? He gave you these names to understand, okay? And to dwell in your heart. You got to use them. And you have to have full belief, man.
And if we
And
were,
marching.
if we weren't Israelites, why would we be preaching the downfall of the so-called white man Esau Edom? Why if we were, you know, if we weren't Israelites, why would we be doing that? Like
Yeah.
we're so invested. We dedicated hours, years, lessons every day. And going out doing camp, preaching the destruction of this the so-called white man. Why would we be doing that? If we weren't Israelites, you know?
The Lord could have called us to be just some wicked motherfuckers that would just live in folly. But
Yeah.
instead, we were blessed enough to come to the living power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and to be woken up in these last days, man. You know?
Yeah, and you don't see, these other Israelite camps, and most of the Israelite camps in United States, going back to Barak 230, we see that my people shall remember themselves in the land of that captivities. And what else are they going to remember? They're going to remember the proper names. And most of the camps are using Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. They're not using Yahuwah Ba'Shem Yahushua or Yahweh or Yeshua or Yahodua
Or
or
Yasha
Ahai.
Yasha.
All these guys are just trying to act different. They're trying to be unique, trying to, and that's going off. You cannot lean on your own understanding. And there's so much proof to to show that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is the proper name. Yet a lot of these guys are ignorant. They're just trying to be like special, trying to use some other name, some with some Yiddish Germanic Hebrew translation. So a lot of these guys are just going off.
Yeah.
And you know what? And you know what, brothers? These people they're gonna buck up against us, but when shit hits the fan, when they see brothers, man, and most likely he's gonna be brothers of great Millstone. When they see them, flying around, having them that spiritual powers, having them the blessings and miracles, and the mercies on their side, man, they're gonna be willing that day, right? And so this is the book of Psalms, chapter 110, verse 3, and it says here. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of thy youth. And what's that? And that's what that's going to go into. That's going to be the Lord. Giving some of his men on this side them spiritual powers, and ultimately, the elect, man, all of it. So we can have that spiritual powers on when Yahushua touches down when that elect get their new spiritual bodies, man. That's going to be the second covenant right there, and that's and that's gonna be the time when we ultimately gonna be in rulership. Now that's when the people are gonna start paying attention and be like, oh shit, they were right the whole time, man. You
Yeah.
know.
Yep. Then they're gonna hearken on to the voice of the prophets right there. This just goes back to what we were saying with these wicked ass women, with these people at your job, with these family members, with these so-called people that are Israelites that want to speak down upon the Israelite foreigners and tell you what you are in their mind. These are offenders, man. These are offenders, and they're gonna come from everywhere. There's gonna be little tricks that Hashatan tries to play, Satan tries to play. He tries to offend you. You know, you gotta you gotta
And
you gotta
a
understand
lot of
that.
these guys might be just Edomite terrorists. They might
Yeah,
not even be Israelites. You
yeah,
know, because remember, Israelites. What happened during the diaspora? They hid into the lands of the heathen. They hid into these other other lands. Mingled among the people, but they also you know mingle among the people that look similar to them. And what happened? We started we started looking like the heathens, but you also got the wheats and the tares. And that's what the scriptures speak on.
Yeah, but ultimately, man, like, 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 like as it says in the book of Revelation, when these people are gonna get beamed up, they're gonna see that multitude, man. What that John the Revelator saw, and we're gonna get that precept. The mixed multitude. All right, so this is the book of Revelation, chapter 7, verse 9. It says here, "After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and all kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, and palms or psalms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, Yahweh, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb, who is Yahweh Shai. And all the angels stood round about the throne and about the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their face, and worship Yahweh, saying, Amen, blessings and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might unto our God, our power, Yahweh, forever. Amen.
Yep.
Yes, sir. So, and with that, unless you brothers have any more precepts, we're gonna end off the lesson there.
I have one more. Corinthians, First Corinthians 14:33. For Yahweh Bashim Shai is not an author of confusion, but of peace, as in churches of saints. So you're gonna if you're dealing with a woman that's confusing, man, she's throwing you off this course. That's not the one, man. You got these people that are your so-called friends trying to throw you off this truth and being in this word, man, and they're just causing you to stumble. They ain't the people to be around you, man. Those are offenders. Okay, so focus on the task at hand, keep marching, and just stay true and take it day by day, man. Keep moving forward. Keep your mind set on Yahweh Shai Shai and all these other fucking people, man.
Yes, sir. Because remember, the Lord is only dealing with the nation of Israel, and regardless of what Israel looked like, as it says in Revelation, chap, chapter 7, verse 9. Man, that great multitude, those people of different nations that look like those other nations that may speak those different tongues, those are all Israelites, man. Man, and
Yep.
that's who salvation is only meant for, Israel, not these other heathens or these strangers, which goes into the Hebrew word nakash. No, actual heathen strangers. You,
Yeah.
you know,
And,
that.
and, and one more thing, yeah, just like I said before, pour out your heart to the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Don't be casting your cares upon these other people, upon your fucking woman and these other so-called friends or your cousin that don't know shit about this truth. Don't be casting your cares upon them, man. That's what the people in the world do, man. Cast your cares upon the Lord. And I'm finished, man. With that being said, if none of you guys have any other precepts, um, we'd like to give all the glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh,
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 Bahashem,
Bahashem,
Yahweh
Yahweh
Shai,
Shai,
Yahushai,
Bahashem,
Bahashem,
Ba'ashem, Rakakadash.
Barakadash.
And we want to give a sincere double honors to the elders and apostles that teach us truth in full sincerity and charity, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect.
Yes, sir.
Shalom.
Yes, sir. And to all you Akim out there pushing this word out there in truth and sincerity, we like to say a shalom to you brothers out there, man.
Shalom. Yep.
All right, shalom.